Lecture 1, Introduced to Macroeconomics. In this section, you will be provided with the three important issues. The first one is what is economics in general and what is macroeconomics. Second, how to study economics and what are the scientific tools to study economics. The last one is the approaches to study macroeconomics. So now let's have the definition for what is economics. To understand what is economics, we will divide the word economics into two parts. Economics include economy and "-ics", and the suffix "-ics" refers to a science. What about economy? The word economy comes from Greek. It means that the one who manages a household. So, if economics is a science to study economy, so it means that this science will study the behavior of the one who manages a household. So, what does he do? For the one who manages the household, you can see that he has to do many things to satisfy his wants. For example, he needs to have food, to have entertainment, sports, school, or he has to buy drinks, to go cinema, etc. And how to satisfy the wants? He has given income, given time, given health. It means that the resources to satisfy the wants are scarce, but the wants are unlimited. If we use the constraint or the scarce resources to satisfy the one unlimited, so it means that it is very difficult to distribute the resources effectively. So now, economics is a science to study this person. It means that economics is a science of how an economy manages its resources. And there are many agents and many aspects from the economy. So if we study each individual in the economy, so this will belong to the field of microeconomics. And microeconomics is the behavior of firms and households individually. And if we study the economy as the whole, the big one, so this will be the field of macroeconomics. And macroeconomics is the behavior, is a science to study behavior of an economy as a whole, the big one. So here is the practice. There are 4 cases. And my question is, for each event here, please classify which one belongs to microeconomics and which one belongs to macroeconomics, and shortly answer why. So now, we understand the importance and the definition of economics. And you may have a question, how to study this subject? In fact, economics is a science, so to study economics, we also use the scientific tools as other sciences. And the first step to study economics and macroeconomics is to observe. The observation will help you to see how the things or how people do anything. And from the observation, many observations as much as possible, you will withdraw a trend. And the trend will show you that, in general, the behavior won't be this way. For example, when you study the economy like US, you will see the real GDP of the US like this. And the real GDP for each year is described as this line. So you say that, in general, this is a trend. GDP increase over time. So if you see this trend, you may state the theory. And the increase in GDP over time is called economic growth. And we still have to check the theory with the updated data, with the new data. And sometimes we can see that the previous theory is no longer true, is no longer right for the updated data. For example, in marked period of time, we can see that GDP reduced, not increase. So there's a question that before this observation, we say that GDP increased over time, but now GDP does not increase. So it means that we need to develop a new theory. So now you can see a circle, increasing circle. The first step to observe the economy, and then we draw a theory, and then updated the data to develop the theory. When you study economics, you also need to use the glossary of terms, because there are many issues that we have to use many words to explain. And if we can use only one word or one phrase to describe the whole situation, so it will be shortly and much easier. For example, instead of describe the behavior of a seller, we can use the term supply. And it refers that supply describe the behavior of the seller, and if the price increased, the seller are ready to supply more, to sell more in the market. When you study economics, you also use special expression. For example, graph, table, equation, and model. When we use, for example, this equation, we can easily, individually, see the relation between the two variables, x and y. The increase or the changes in x may lead to equivalent change in y, depends on the coefficient a. For example, when you want to see the relation between ages and the effectiveness, working effectiveness, we can say that when you are older, your effectiveness will be lower. So the relation between the two variables, effectiveness and your age, are the two variables. And if you put it in a function, you don't need to describe the situation using too many words, and it's easy to see. Another way to express the economic issue is to use the model. And here is one example for the model. Macroeconomic circular flow. Now please look at this economy, and there are two typical agents, firms and household. These two agents interact in the economy in two typical markets: the market for final goods and services and the market for factors of productions. Firstly, in order to produce goods and services, firms need to use inputs of production provided by household. And when they use these inputs, they have to pay production cost to the household. And household receive this payment and it becomes income for household. Household will use income to buy goods and services in the market for final goods and services, and it is called expenditure or consumption of the household. What household pay become revenue for firms. So from this model, you can see the relation between the two economic agents and also many activities in the two markets. So now lastly, we will go directly to the how to study macroeconomics. As you see before, there are 4 typical steps when you study economics. The first step is the observation. So, for macroeconomics, you also study data of the economy as the first step to observe or to see the performance of the economy. And second, when you observe the economy like this, you will explain why and in what mechanism the economy have such performance. And the explanation for the behavior of the economy is explained in 2 periods. Firstly, in long run and then in short run. The 3 important aspects of the economy is also explained after you study the data of the economy. So now are the typical approach to study macroeconomics. And when you study macroeconomics, please always remember this timeline. This will be the next lecture after lecture 1 introduced to macroeconomics. Lecture 2 will be data of economy. This is the end of lecture 1.